For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. Republicans are marching ahead with a government funding bill to avoid a shutdown slated for Friday despite Democratic opposition. The House votes on a short-term bill to fund the government to the end of the fiscal year today. If passed, it would head to the Senate next. Christopher Martinez reports.
The spending bill, called a continuing resolution, would keep federal agencies funded through September 30th, with a slight boost for defense spending, along with cuts for non-defense programs to levels below last year's. Republicans are touting it as a clean CR. House Appropriations Committee Chair Tom Cole of Oklahoma.
Today's bill will fund the government through September 30th, the end of fiscal year 2025. It maintains the status quo. Importantly, today's bill also does not contain a single poison pill rider. It's a clean CR, fully funding our government.
Democrats see the bill as anything but clean. Rosa DeLauro of Connecticut is the ranking Democrat on the Appropriations Committee.
This is not a clean CR. This bill is a blank check. It's a blank check for Elon Musk and President Trump. And as the White House has said, it creates more flexibility for this administration to steal from the middle class, from seniors, veterans, working people, small businesses, and farmers to pay for tax breaks for billionaires.
She says the measure would cut non-defense spending by $15 billion compared to the Fiscal Responsibility Act agreement for 2025.
A full-year CR transfers more power to the executive branch to shut off and repurpose funding as they see fit. The will of the Congress and people ignored.
Reporting for Pacifica Radio News KPFA, I'm Christopher Martinez.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in Saudi Arabia for talks with Ukrainian officials to end the Russia-Ukraine war. The two countries have traded a barrage of missile strikes in recent days. Ukraine launched what seemed to be the biggest drone attack so far on 10 regions, including Russia's capital, killing 3 people and injuring 18 others, according to Russian officials. The attacks forced the closure of 2 airports, sparked fires and damaged houses. Russian air defenses shot down 343 Ukrainian drones overnight, officials say. The United Nations Human Rights Monitoring Mission in Ukraine says Russian attacks across Ukraine Friday killed 21 civilians and injured scores, others, including children. UN Mission Chief Daniel Bell said March 7th was one of the deadliest days for civilians in Ukraine so far this year. Over the weekend, strikes targeted energy, gas, and heating infrastructure that temporarily left 130,000 families without power. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump says he's strongly considering sanctions and tariffs on Russia in hopes of forcing a peace settlement to the war. This after appearing favorable to Russia's version of a peace plan, which has isolated the U.S. from Ukraine and European allies. Military officials from more than 30 nations are expected to convene in Paris today for talks to create an international security force for Ukraine, with an aim to dissuade Russia from launching another offensive after any ceasefire is reached. Today is a national day of action on college campuses in the face of increasing backlash by the Trump administration against student dissent to the war in Gaza. This as a judge has blocked the Trump administration's deportation of a Palestinian activist and permanent U.S. resident who's married to an American, Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia University graduate who organized protests against the war in Gaza on campus last spring. ICE officers arrested Khalil Saturday in his university-owned apartment in New York. He's now being held in an immigrant detention center 1,000 miles away in Louisiana. The action is the first publicly known deportation effort under Trump's crackdown on students who protested the war in Gaza. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on social media that Khalil led activities aligned to Hamas, a designated terrorist organization. President Trump said it was the first arrest of many more to come. New York Civil Liberties Union Director Donna Lieberman said the unlawful detention of Khalil reeks of McCarthyism, calling the action a frightening escalation of Trump's crackdown on pro-Palestine speech and an aggressive abuse of immigration law, she said. Democratic Congressmember Pramila Jayapal of Washington State called the arrest unacceptable, said on social media deporting legal residents solely for expressing their political opinions is a violation of free speech rights. Who's next? Citizens? The United States is added to the Civicus Monitor watch list as a country with weakened civil liberties Monday. The alliance of organizations, including Amnesty International, monitors civic freedoms in countries around the globe and lists threats to civil liberties. It cited what it called President Trump's assault on democratic norms and global cooperation, including executive orders to cut more than 90% of foreign aid contracts and its crackdown on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. A press release from Civica said restrictive executive orders, unjustifiable institutional cutbacks, and intimidation tactics by senior officials in the administration are creating an atmosphere to chill democratic dissent, a cherished American ideal. Civicus called it an unparalleled attack on the rule of law not seen since McCarthyism. Other countries on the watch list include the Democratic Republic of Congo, Pakistan, Serbia, and Italy. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.